What's up guys, RBG here, back with another Marvel's Avengers video, and I just want to give a huge shout out to the community for sticking with me during these insane waves of coverage. I've had a chance of chatting with a bunch of you during the beta, and I'm over the moon with how much you guys enjoy watching my content. Like, you have no idea how much I appreciate the support you've given me during times like this. The beginning was pretty rough when it came to covering this game, but things keep getting better and better, and today we have some amazing news to go over. Now, before we jump into today's video, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, G2A. If you're looking for a way to purchase the hottest video games without burning a hole in your wallet, you should really consider checking them out. They offer key codes for different platforms such as Steam, PS Network, and Xbox for half the price of the original. So why wouldn't you want to take advantage of this deal? You absolutely lose if you overpay. So go ahead and seize the win. You can do so by clicking the link that will be provided in the description of this video. But as you read by the title, we have some amazing stuff to talk about in today's video. Apparently, someone has not only gained early access to Captain America, they also managed to get their hands on Thor within the Warzone section of the beta. Some of you are probably aware of the Captain America glitch that was a big deal in the first beta weekend, where one player gained access to him outside of the main campaign mission. And while we saw some interesting things, the player didn't necessarily provide us with enough details. They didn't go through all the different skills, and they didn't flip over to the pages found on the Hero Challenge card menu to see the alternate costumes. Now, understandably, the person who discovered this cool find did it by accident and probably didn't know how to skim through all the things the character has. So it was a bit of a bummer that we weren't able to see stuff like the skill tree and cosmetics. Thankfully, there were some players who knew exactly what we wanted and how to gain access to it. Ever since the beta for Marvel's Avengers launched on the PC, people who specialize in data mining have been discovering all kinds of things that'll be available via post-launch content. There's recently been a discovery of over 20 characters within the network data, which I plan on talking about in the next video. And the most recent find has been all the mechanics and skins for Captain America and Thor. This content comes courtesy of Tony Bean Gaming, who was able to gain access to both characters and do a showcase of everything they'll have. And I'm going to be going over certain things that I found from his footage, but I highly recommend checking out the full video over on his channel and subscribing to stay updated on whatever he finds within the beta. The link will be in the description box below. But anyways, something that seems to have been getting universal praise since the beta's launch was how well Captain America plays, with some fans stressing that they wish they could play strictly with him during the game. If anything, his gameplay mechanics feel on par with that of Marvel's Spider-Man. And with the exception of Iron Man, he's pretty much every Avengers member wrapped into one awesome character. You want something on par with Thor's hammer? You get Cap's vibranium shield that can take out an entire room of enemies. And if you want a character that gives you that sense of power like the Hulk, but at the same time offers the agility of Black Widow, you get Cap's Super Soldier Serum infused moveset that has zero compromise over his strength and speed. He just has a lot going for him, and fans are itching to play with him in the war zones. Now, with that said, you may notice in the video that Captain America is doing things that he's usually not capable of doing, like flying. But I can assure you that this happened because he wasn't meant to be accessible in the beta. There still seems to be no explanation as to how he will be able to get to certain points, or how he'll be able to keep up with the other Avengers in terms of traversal. Some of you brought up a pretty awesome point that he'll most likely be able to run at inhuman speeds like he did in Avengers Infinity War. And I can see that, but we still don't know how he'll gain access to high ledges. Like, the only thing that was available in Tony Bean Gaming's experience with Cap was Iron Man's hover animations, so it's going to be interesting seeing what the developers give him in the final version of the game. Something tells me that it could possibly be a super jump or a zip line similar to Black Widow's, but all we can do is play the waiting game at this point. Even though players were able to play with Captain America, there were still things that couldn't be seen in his personal menus. There weren't any visual previews available in his skill tree, so we had to envision what these moves could possibly look like. And that's pretty disappointing, because I just want to see what all he could do in this game. But on the other hand, we were able to see the other skill tree pages, like the specialty and mastery trees. And given how much was available in that one, there's no telling how much will be available in the other two trees. Now granted, these other pages seem to be nothing more than choices as opposed to actual moves. They do allude to the amount of diversity players will have with each Avengers member's gameplay. For the specialty skill tree, you can get one of two options per heroic that can each be upgraded to do more stat buffs. Same goes for the mastery skill tree that grants you one of three options per attribute. So for example, if I want a more range focused version of Captain America as opposed to a close quarters one, I could choose his skill throwing mastery option and continue to upgrade it for additional moves. I can only imagine all the different combinations players are going to come with for their specific heroes. Like, if you thought that the gear was going to strictly determine how effective your character is in a war zone, you're sorely mistaken. And bro, we got to talk about the movement skill tree. You can actually customize how you want the character to move within the gameplay. Instead of using Cap's vault move he uses to flip over enemies, you can use a somersault flip that can be further upgraded to a wall run. and I can do an air dash for Thor while hitting an enemy with the Odin Force. That's an insane amount of customization that not even Marvel Spider-Man can compete with. Like, this is why I can't stress to naysayers enough. If you judge this game strictly off the beta, you're gonna miss out on what it truly has to offer in the full version. Like, the developers ain't messing around here. There's an overwhelming amount of things you can do with the way you want your Avengers to play compared to someone else who's main the same character. I don't have to be that one Iron Man that simply hops over shield wielding enemies. I can possibly do something cooler. So toying around with the other skill trees is gonna give the game a lot of replay value. But moving on, I want to talk about the other little goodies Tony Bing Gaming found for Cap and Thor, and that is the costumes. If you've been playing the beta, you probably noticed that you can obtain different costumes for the Avengers after completing certain challenges, while others can be bought using in-game currency through things like credits. Something that I don't think was available was the info that some costumes can be unlocked if you reach a certain level. As you can see, you won't be able to get these Thor costumes unless you reach a level 9 or higher. And this is another thing that puts me at ease, because I was afraid that we'd have to buy an overwhelming amount of cosmetics as opposed to unlocking them. But it looks like there's going to be a ton of unlockables. And something that I think is very important to note is that there seems to be only recolored variants of pre-existing costumes that will be locked behind a paywall. Like, I could be wrong, but that's all I've seen so far for this game. As you can see, Thor's gonna have a few base designs that'll be swapped with a different color palette. And we've gotten full glimpses of all these costumes in their original color patterns. So I'm gonna go ahead and get Thor's outfits out of the way first. You have a recolor version of his Donald Blake outfit, which you can unlock once you get to level 9, and there's a few variations of his default costume. And if you ask me, the alternate colors make the costume look a lot cooler. Especially with this costume you can unlock once you get to level 23. The blue metallic circles on his chest gear just seem to pop out more. But moving on, the last two costumes we see are recolors of his alternates. You have a purple and gold color scheme for his iconic costume, and then we have the Frostwalker outfit, which is a white recolor of his Lord of Asgard costume. And these are all pretty cool, but I gotta turn your attention over to the costumes you really came to see. As you all know, Cap's default design leaves a lot to be desired. While it seems to work well within the realistic world Crystal Dynamics is trying to set up, it just doesn't do much for his heroic physique. It makes him look like an average Joe. So I was hoping that the developers would give him something that's on the same level as his MCU costume, and it looks like we just may be getting the suits that we really want. As you can see, Captain America has some pretty cool looking costumes that I can see myself instantly swapping his default out with. Firstly, we gotta talk about this awesome looking white costume. If you remember back at last year's Comic-Con, Crystal Dynamics revealed a close-up of this particular outfit, but since it was a behind closed doors event, we could only see it via a snapshot that was taken by someone in attendance. And anytime you get a snapshot of a projected image, things tend to be a little darker than what they really are. Because of this, the skin tone on Cap's neck looked like that of a black guy, which led some to believe that we may be getting Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon. But as it turns out, it's a white costume with red, blue, and gray accents going along the chest and other areas. I'm really hoping that this suit has some context to it, like being in the story campaign. Like, considering the fact that it can be unlocked at a mere level 6, I think it will show up in one of the story's cutscenes. Anyways, the next costume we have is this shirtless Steve Rogers with camo pants. Not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not gonna be using this costume at all, because without the iconic red, white, and blue suit, it makes Steve look like some random guy on the street. I understand that it harks back to his days in the military, but it just doesn't do it for me. What does do it for me is Cap's Secret Empire costume, and it looks to be a different color variation. Instead of having more blue going along the chest and arms, it has gray and white color patterns. And man, I'm digging how many color patterns you can give these suits. Like, the design team has really outdid themselves. But moving on, the next batch of costumes look like they're going to be recolors of the default costume, with one sporting a darker tone of blue with red arm guards and boots, while the other features a red and black color scheme. And the last costume, which can be unlocked at level 39, features a more classical look for the character that looks more akin to the suit from Captain America the First Avenger movie, particularly with the belts that go around Cap's arms. I really wish the person playing would have clicked on the preview screen so we could get a closer look at these suits, but it looks like this one will have scales going along the armor. Like, I could be wrong, but I hope I'm not. But with that, I'm gonna end this video. I hope you guys are as hyped as I am about all these new details, because we've only scratched the surface. There are still characters we have to talk about, not to mention that the full game is right around the corner. Anyways, let me know what you think by commenting down below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future videos. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help your boy out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on social media. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.